Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you listen to this episode of Fast Break here on iSports Radio. On tonight's episode, we discuss. I know we talked about the Sixers and James Harden last week, but last time we talked to you, the next following day, James Harden called Daryl Morey a liar multiple times on his tour of China. We'll discuss James Harden, the Sixers, Daryl Morey, and Joel Embiid as a whole, and what does this mean for the 76ers' future? Does Joel Embiid ask for out? Does Daryl Morey get the pink slip? Or does James Harden get his wish and get traded after a failed promise? Also, Anthony Edwards has been balling out for Team USA in cut play. We'll debate if, could he have an MVP type of season for the next upcoming year. Plus, we'll go over WNBA scores and other news going around the league, which ain't much, here on Fast Break Live on iSports Radio. You're the week for all your sports, and you're welcome to join us. And join us as you shout tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Lots to talk about, lots to get into. I know it's almost like a one subject show to a degree because this last week we're on this show. We talked about the Sixers for a little bit. Talking about James Harden, that situation that they're not going to regret his trade request, and we talked about that. And then, we close shop, whatever, and we talk after the show like we usually do. And, I get up around 6:30, whatever. D-Lock, I don't know about you, what time you wake up every morning, but I happen to get on X/Twitter. And what do I see? I see James Harden in front of, people in China doing his tour in China for his brand, and he's sitting and calling Daryl Morey a liar after he asked a question for somebody in the crowd. He repeated not only once, but he repeated it a couple times that Daryl Morey is a liar. He promised me things, and Daryl Morey is a liar. So this is where we at right now with James Harden. The script coming back to him on this show, along with Daryl Morey. And side characters in this is the rest of the Philadelphia players, PJ Tucker, and one notably, Joel Embiid. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well, man. A lot of different things going on with Hard. Me playing my Warzone game, getting good PBs, getting a lot of kills in this game right here. The James Harden news. So this is something that we're gonna be talking about for weeks.
Yes, it's it's almost like we're repeating the same. We're going to repeat some of the same things, but we got new wrinkles to the story. We'll start off with the Harden comments about Daryl Morey. If we go back to last year, we know James Harden re-signed with this team for like a 1 year with a player option to stay in Philadelphia. I think we know that for a fact. James Harden, took less money to acquire, PJ Tucker, who they've been tampering for months beforehand. To get sign other guys to the fold and all that good stuff. to make things sort of try and make a good championship run, in which they fell again in that second round of the playoffs. This time to the Celtics. So Harden, somewhere in translation, Daryl Morey must have promised Harden something for him to ask for this trade request that's still in a stalemate that James Harden had gotten through yet. Him and Damian Lillard are in the same boat. They asked for trade requests from their respective teams. Portland, on a rebuild, basically. Philly, still in contention because they still got Joel Embiid, but they still in the same boat, with nothing going on right now, real quiet and all that good stuff. So let me pass this to you, D-Lock. What do you think about the Harden comments, calling Daryl Morey a liar on multiple times? And where do you think? Because Harden and Morey, we seem like they were very, cool to a point. I'm not saying be chummy with your boss, but seemed like they were cool to a point. Where do you think this situation goes in Philly? Does the Harden trade gets accelerate a little bit, or does Morey get the slip, or what? What's your opinion on all this?
Well, for me, I think that for James Harden to say that, we are talking about somebody who literally showed his ass while he was in Brooklyn and in Houston. So, you're talking about somebody who means what he say. For these two to have such a tight relationship and for it to go south, that lets you know that I believe it's more than just business. I think it has a lot to do with being very personal as well. So for me, I think that that being said, it just seems as if this may be something that cannot be fixed. I mean, he has said before, hey, he said it back to back. This is something that he continued to say. And for me, I don't think that that's something that he just bullshit just for the hell of it. So I just think that, we could be seeing the end and also seeing him being traded sooner rather than later. In a sense. So for me, I think that with this situation, we could see James Harden be moved. We at first thought it wasn't going to happen just because of them kind of ending trade talks. But for Daryl Morey and James Harden to come to an agreement as such, as far as opting in and then trading him, it definitely made him feel some type of way. And I think that is playing a huge part on the decision and the comments that James Harden has made. So, like I said before, and I was just talking to y'all, like, hell, football season is coming up, and as soon as football season comes around, basketball season is right down the road. Hell, Madden just dropped, and they're talking about 2K. So you know how close these seasons are and how important they are. So I think over time, these next couple of weeks, but sooner, I think that we may possibly be seeing James Harden be moved. Now, to where is the question? I think that the possibility of being in LA with the Clippers, I think that might be done. But I think that there is a possibility that he could get traded somewhere else. Side note for me, if I'm Miami, I'm definitely taking a look at this situation because if that damn Dame Lillard situation don't happen, as they continue to talk about, if that doesn't happen fast enough, then that's another option that they need to tap into. And I'm sure the Sixers would definitely not mind having somebody like a Tyler Hero. So, but at the end of the day, I think this whole situation is big to James Harden, how he's treating it, and I definitely expect it to be more to it.
Before I get started, I want to shout out to the chat real quick. Shout out to Terry Rodriguez. How you doing tonight, sir? Terry Rodriguez has been killing it on the interview trail for Set Point. I think he got, let me pull it up real quick. I had it. Tomorrow, he has Daniel Gillum of 6 Rotations. They'll be going live at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific 3 Central. Mr. Gillen will join Terran tomorrow at those times, so don't miss out on that. Also, we got the chat on the chat. We got Spaced Out Sports with J-Man. He is new to the fold here at I Sports Radio. Let me get your information up real quick. Mr. J-Man goes live every Wednesday at 5 Central Time, 6 Eastern, 4 Pacific. He talks everything Houston sports. So Astros, Texans, Rockets, Houston Cougars, who are moving to the Big 12, and everything else in between in Houston's stratosphere. So do check out J-Man. Go live every Wednesday. Thank you for jumping in with us in the chat tonight, sir. Let's break this down right here for me, right here, real quick. When I saw that video, like I said, I think Daryl Morey promised something to James Harden. And for him to say that, and you know how things go viral quick in this world we live in, especially in the basketball sector, that got talked a lot. And for him to say that, this is like, pretty wild, considering how their relationship is, or we thought it was. And, the ownership in Philly got to think about, what's the next move? Do y'all call up to Daryl and say, hey, get it done. We don't care. Get him out of here. Or do they get rid of Daryl Morey? Now, one thing is the fact, ladies and gentlemen, that Daryl Morey in league circles, he came from that private sector money, hedge fund, all that type of stuff. So he's not a real people person, per se. So handling like personalities like a James Harden, Joel Embiid, stuff like that, even down in Houston, like Chris Paul, Russell, all that good jazz. You kind of always hear stories about him and his people interactions. So, see this relationship dissolve between these two guys, it's kind of like you kind of see it coming down the line. Is Daryl Morey just looking at the numbers and analytics and saying we're better with James, or we're not going to trade James, or I'm not getting the right value for James when I gave up for James to pry him away from Brooklyn? I think that's what Daryl Morey is thinking, and talk about, when we talk about James Harden and all this stuff. Could they do the trade to LA? Yeah. I don't, to be honest with you, basketball reasons, I don't see the fit, because they re-signed Russ to a 2-year contract. We kind of saw how that worked a few years ago around the bubble time with Russ and Harden. It wasn't the best of situations towards the end there. In which result, Russell Westbrook getting traded to Washington. So I don't know where Philly goes from here. And then you sent me something, I think like a couple days after that, whatever, about Joel Embiid change up his stuff on Twitter and all that. So you got this stuff going on with Morey and Harden and all that stuff. Well, what was promised, what was not promised, all that good stuff. Embiid, then you got your main player, Embiid, kind of look at the situation, kind of look like,
He damn sure seems like he trying to be out too.
It's like, I don't really feel this dude, Daryl Morey, like this, anyways. And I think Harden and Embiid kind of got like a tight relationship because we saw it. Harden gifted Embiid a Rolex when Embiid won the MVP. You don't do that for people you don't like.
Exactly.
And we see him, Harden give his friends pretty big things. So PJ Tucker has come out and say, hey, I roll with James. I haven't seen too much said about from Tobias Harris, but if Joel Embiid, if Harden X is out, then if Joel X is out, then the Philadelphia 76ers got to rebuild again. And do Philly fans want to go through that again? Do Philly management will go through that again? Once you finally got Embiid in a good place in health, that he's one of the top 10 players in this league. You struck out and missed on Norris Noel. You struck out and missed on Julia Okafor. Struck out and missed on Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz. Embiid, it took a little while, but now he's here. Top 10 players in the league. MVP award winner, multiple time All-Star, All NBA. This is if Morey can't get this situation resolved with James, whatever, to get the contract extension done, because it seems like James wants to be there, then the domino is going to fall. And it's going to fall hard very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is it just now Philly is going through this again. Uh, it seems like a reoccurring thing continuously for the Sixers. They keep striking out. This is very similar to the New York Knicks. When they draft or when they put pieces together. Because I've talked about it before. Remember it was just a couple of years ago when we talked about Ben Simmons passing the ball up and they blamed him, and now they're continuing to break this team down after he's gone. So for me, it just seems like they have to get this right. But every time they try to get things in order, what happens is there is some kind of step back. They take 3 steps forward and then take with 6 steps back. Going to have a Ben Simmons and then that falls through. Then going to get James Harden, and now him and Daryl Morey, who we would never see have a bad relationship. All of a sudden, are on 2 different sides. So for me, like I said, it's just something that is going on in Philly. They gotta break the curse at this point, man. I mean, there's always something going on, and now all of a sudden, the guy that said that trust the process, now he's wanting to stop trusting his own process and go somewhere else.
Let me go. Uh, J Man hosts our Houston show, Spaced Out Sports. He said in the chat, Embiid to Houston, which I know he said, he had laughing emoji at the end, but I mean, if Embiid acts out, if you Houston, you got Ime Yukata. Granted, I like the young roster a lot, but if you can get Embiid along with Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, it seemed like you may have to give up Robbie Smith, but if you can maybe give up Jalen Green, Kevin Porter, Sengun, maybe Cam Whitmore, and a few first round picks. Damn, did Philly bite on that? You still keep a top prospect in Robbie Smith. So him going on down low with Embiid. The 3 spot, you slide in Torrey Easton there. He played very well for you last year. Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, that veteran coach. Damn, you may be cooking something there, J-Man. What you think about that idea?
Say that trade again.
The big man Sagun from Houston. Maybe throw in Jalen Green. Then maybe throw in Kevin Porter for salary reasons. Let's see. Got those 3. Maybe Cam Whitmore. He kind of shows some promise. A few first round picks because Houston got a lot of first round picks for that James Harden trade for Brooklyn. So it's not, and let's be real. Brooklyn may be in for a slide. Maybe not. So those 4 guys, 3 first rounders, 4. If I'm Philly, you're not getting.
I'm not mad at that.
I'm not mad at that because Jalen Green could be something. Kevin Porter could be 6-man. Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Green, Tyrese Maxey be backcourt. Whitmore, guy on the wing. Sangoon down low.
That's a lot of good pieces, especially if you put that together. Young pieces at that. So this is something that needs to be considered on their end. They continue to go through that situation where they have something going on with them. So, you making that move now, obviously it would be hard to get off a player like Embiid, but needs to definitely be something considered. Very young team too.
Because you think about this, if you look at the scope of things, if Harden don't show up to training camp as he's been threatening to do, if Embiid kind of assesses his situation and asks out as well, if you're the Rockets, you kind of got to look at all things considered. I know the Knicks, they kind of been monitoring Joel Embiid. There have been reports about that, but I don't know what they can give up to get him, to be honest with you. It's going to be very hard to swing the fence if you're going to try to keep, Randall, Brunson, and Barry in the fold. It's going to be hard. Miami, I know you brought up for James Harden, but I think Miami may be interested in Joel Embiid.
They will be. Yeah, that's true.
I saw one trade package that, gives up Bam Adebayo, entire hero in the deal. They wanted the young prospects and some first round picks for Embiid. If they can't get Damian Lillard, Joel Embiid is probably the next best thing.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. You definitely can't be mad if you make a move like that. And it seems like this Portland deal is going to take forever.
And think about this, D-Lock. If Miami had Joel Embiid in that finals,
oh my God.
I'm not saying they win the champ. Hell, we could be singing a different tune who will win that championship.
Yeah.
With the way Jimmy Butler was playing, Caleb Martin was playing.
Somebody to maintain Jokic a little bit.
Yeah. And Joel, I love Bam Adebayo, but he wasn't giving that work to Jokic. And Joel Embiid, if you put Joel Embiid in that situation, he's going to get Jokic that work. And if you can neutralize that Jokic threat just a little bit, because like I said, I said my piece about Michael Porter Jr. If he's on, he's on. If he's off, he ain't bringing jack shit to the table. Eric Gordon, different story. He played pretty well in the playoffs. Could be a factor. I mean, could be a deciding factor. Bruce Brown, great playoff running for him as well. Could be a deciding factor. Jamal Murray, you know, has his great moments, but sometimes he can fall on the wayside as well. So if you're Miami, you may make that call as well.
You definitely got to consider. I mean, right now, if you're definitely considering making a move for Dame, you do definitely call Philly for something like that. And it's just the fact that too many rumors are going on about Embiid moving that there is a good chance that he may get moved. Uh, and I will feel bad for Portland because of not I'm sorry, not Portland, Miami, Philly, because it just seems like when they start to get the ship riding in the right direction, something bad happens. So hopefully again, they get things right, but at this point, if you are a team like Miami, hell, you need to make that one move. And I mean, you move him, he's going to make Philly definitely fall out of a favorite to do some type of damage in the East, especially with what Boston has already done. If you want to compete with Boston, you're going to have to make these big moves. Honestly, as great as Dame is, um, I think getting Embiid would definitely put Miami in a different category.
And then Jimmy Butler, hey, he's mid-30s already. So to have that final push there with him, you know, make the other moves and stuff like that Miami got to do. I mean, I know they lost Max Strus, lost Gabe Vincent. That hurts, but getting Embiid and maybe surround some nice pieces, I think it'll work in Miami's favor. But before we talk about Anthony Edwards here in a second, Team USA, all that, where do you think the end game is going to happen with Philly? What do you think is going to happen with James Harden? What do you think is going to happen with Daryl Morey and the other guys? Joel Embiid, PJ Tucker, Tobias Harris, Tyrese Maxey, who they still haven't extended yet. Amongst all this, where do you think what's the end game in your eyes for Philly in the immediate future?
I actually think that they're going to keep Embiid. Embiid to be there. Um, I think that they lose. Um, they're gonna. I don't think James Harden's going to be there, man. I think that's probably going to be over for them. It's not a good situation, you know. But also with Harden leaving, I think PJ Tucker is going to be part of that, move it deal because I think he was one of the main guys that got him there. Or Harden had the big deal with that. So at this point, I just think that Embiid will be there. Obviously, I think right now that's just a lot of chatter. You know, being the fact that you're talking about every other situation going on with James Harden. But I definitely think Embiid to stay there. But if they do lose Harden, I think they're going to take a drop back in my
I know Doc Rivers was the scapegoat. Why they didn't get further than they did? I think he's part to blame, but Harden and B didn't show up that last game 7, and all that stuff. But it goes back to me saying about Daryl Morey not being a people person. If he went back on his promise and all that stuff to James Harden and all that good stuff, then if I'm ownership, I was like, well, did you say this to James? All this stuff. Do you say this to get trying to get better on this stuff? Do you say this and promise this? And you went back on your word, and now all of a sudden you ask for a trade request. If he, if he did, then you gotta show him the door. And you gotta get somebody like a people person wise to kind of mend those fence. And if James is cool, staying in Philly, then get the deal done. You're still a top 4 team in the East. Get the deal done. I mean, yeah, the trade request by James Harden is not a good look for how the past couple years has gone, as we had documented on this show. But if Daryl Morey went back on his word on this guy, and this is man's and all that stuff, then it's not a great look. It's not. And then if if all this stuff is going on, and your star player Joel Embiid might ask out sooner than later, according to some reports, then yeah, Daryl Morey got to go. You can't risk that. I don't care, how good you look at analytics and data and all that crap. The NBA is a players' league. This ain't the NFL.
This is true.
It ain't baseball. It's a players' league. If you can't have that player relationship, which I thought, he kind of had with James Harden, but if he can't have, if that's gone, then if your ownership in Philly, like, what are we doing here? If we get like a veteran that can smooth things over, cool. Get somebody young that can smooth things over, cool. And go from there. But my eyes, I think Daryl Morey got to go. And then, in this case, find somebody outside, mend the fist of James Harden, ask him, hey, you want to be in Philly? If he does, cool, get the contract done. If not, try and get the trade deal done. But also, I got to smooth things over with Joel Embiid as well. And I just go from there. But I think Daryl Morey got to be gone.
Didn't he just get there too?
And yeah, that's the thing. He just got hired there a couple years ago. So if Harden don't show up to training camp, and then we'll see how long that lasts, because they probably start finding him and stuff like that. But if he missed training camp and the start of the season, and Giannis, he's gonna be out with a knee injury for a little bit. It seems like that knee injury is not nothing to the knee surgeon does nothing to sneeze at. So you got that going on right now in Milwaukee. Cleveland, then they bring everybody back. We'll see how they look. Miami, long they got Jimmy and Bam, and see about Dame. Title contention. Boston, Adam Kristoffs, title contention. New York, had a good run to playoffs. They in the mix. Your Orlando Magic, if they can put things together, I think don't sleep on them. Atlanta with Quinn Snyder, with the full season with him and training camp, all that stuff. How they gonna look? So all those teams I just listed right there. The Pacers, all the moves they made. So all these teams I just listed there, especially Milwaukee, if Giannis gonna be out, before the start at the start of the season. If you fall on the wayside there, then there's not no way you can climb out. And then off of all the teams they lock, these teams behind them, Chicago, you know, Washington. So, Toronto, Brooklyn. So if you get lost in the sauce, that's it. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's the thing. Like I said, the East is getting better as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Philly moves with this.
So we'll keep an eye on this, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing's been resolved. I mean, nothing been said here lately. You know, James Harden is still doing his thing out in China, all that good stuff. The NBA is investigating the situation in Philly, so we'll wait to see how that comes about. There's like the stories about the domino effect on all this stuff. So we'll see how things go in Philly. It may come to a head here when close training camp is coming about. But D-Lock, we'll switch gears real quick. I want to talk about Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, one of the stars of the Minnesota Timberwolves, has kind of really been balling out here for Team USA um, in the World Championships. Let me try to pull his numbers for today.
He was doing his thing big time.
Yeah, he had 34 points for Team USA over their comeback victory against Germany. But he's been playing pretty well, this stretch run for the United States. And we saw like in the beginning of this stretch and all that stuff, like against the select team, all that stuff, they didn't have in the starting lineup, and they put in the starting lineup, and things kind of just got going from there. Team USA completed their 5-0 exhibition record with a 99-91 win over medal contender Germany on Sunday. U.S. trials being 60 points in the second half as Germany, which came in 4-1 in pre-World Cup play, including a win over Canada. The USA held Germany scoreless for 6 minutes in the fourth quarter while going on an 18-0 run. Anthony Edwards has been really balling out. He fired 34 points off 11-20 shooting and was part of the swarming defensive effort that won the game, according to ESPN article. So he's been balling out. He's been playing very well. I'll pose this question to you with this recent play. I sent you something also through a text message. I want to see if you agree with it. With this recent run and play in this pre-World Cup play, do you see a top 5 MVP voting season for Anthony Edwards?
I think that he'll be one of those better players in the league this year. I mean, for him to be in the top 5 as far as MVP voting, you're probably going to need the Timberwolves to be a hell of a lot better this year. Do I see that happening? That's a very slim chance that happens. But I definitely think that Anthony Edwards is going to take that step up. I think he is going to be, that the next player. I think he'll take that next level move forward. For him to play how he is playing, I think he also going to be on the Olympic team next year, especially how he played today as well and how he has been playing. So for me, I think that he is going to be in the run as one of the better players. But we seen LaMelo Ball make a big jump, and he wasn't really in the, that MVP voting that much because Charlotte wasn't that good. So I think Anthony Edwards could be in that running, but I think what hurts him the most is Timberwolves and that team overall.
I think he's in line for a big push. I think the way he's been playing, I think he's ready to take the next step. I sent you something through text here not too long ago from Black Sports Online. And he asked a pretty good question. He says, "I am surprised the T Wolves haven't shot Karl Anthony Towns this offseason. It is clear that their future is with Anthony Edwards and should be building a team around him." What you make of that comment right there? Because I think, for us, Karl Anthony Towns is a solid player, but as it's like, he's almost like damn near 2 years in, and we're kind of waiting for him to be
To make that jump.
make that jump and be that more dominant force. But he seems like sometimes he's just comfortable shooting jumpers at times. Still, like I'm not saying be down low all the time. It's good to maximize your skills, but then at times he's more comfortable doing one thing more than he should do the other, and it really hinders his growth and the team's potential. And his play, you know, kind of resulted in them kind of getting this draft pick to get Anthony Edwards, and now Anthony Edwards has kind of shown that alpha male mentality to be that guy. And do you agree with BSO's tweet? Should they build more around Anthony Edwards than Karl Anthony Towns?
I think so. I mean, when you see what we just seen, we've seen not only from today, but just how he's been playing with Minnesota. I'm sorry, yeah, Minnesota so far. I mean, he's doing things that we wanted to see Karl Anthony Towns do, and he had the expectation, you know, being there. And the thing about it is, it's just like it's taking Karl Anthony Towns so damn long. I mean, come on now, this guy is what 7'1", 7'2". I think about no, he about probably maybe 6'11", somewhere around there, and he's on the 3-point doing the 3-point contest.
Yes.
So it's like as great as good as that is, but I mean it's like he's not feeling that what we expected him to do, and I think when you see the Timberwolves make a move like going to get a Rudy Gobert, that tells you that where their mind is thinking. So I honestly wouldn't be shocked if that is a possible person that could be traded or considered. Now, it's like I said, you're talking about you want to put your pieces together first, see how it work out, and then decide. But I think what we've seen from him has just not been up to par. You know what I mean? Especially when you bring in and a player like Anthony Edwards, and he comes in, as soon as he comes in, he's making an impact. So for me, I'm definitely, agreeing somewhat with that tweet because, at some point, how long is it gonna? We look at certain teams, right? They're known to be, they're known to be not that good, right? They're used to just being competitive during the season and call it a year. But if Minnesota wants to make that move, they're going to have to change some things, and their attitude is going to be one of them. They're going to have to be a team that wants to be competitive. You have good players. We've seen many teams have very good players, great players, but not win anything. And I've been one of those fans that've seen the Timberwolves, and I'm just like, dang, like all this talent, like when are they going to make that step? You know what I'm saying? And for me, I would love to see them make that step, but does that mean that there's a possibility they have to move off of Carlton Towns? That could definitely happen.
I kind of said at times that Karl Anthony Towns, he plays like a modern, like kind of like this, like a version like a Sam Perkins. later in Sam Perkins' career, he kind of made more of like a stretch big man, all that stuff. And I love Sam Perkins in his game and stuff like that. But you know, even if you look at Sam's early part of his career, college, all that stuff, he played down low a lot and all that good stuff, dunking, all that stuff. Yeah, he shot the ball, but he was kind of dominant down low, and then get to the NBA, didn't want to do all that and started shooting the ball more. That's what Cat kind of reminds me of at times. But we kind of never see him dominate down low like he should. And then also, with him not dominating like the way he should at times, kind of made them, in result, do a bad trade with Utah and getting Ruby Gobert. And in the fit, and we talked about on the show before, like it seemed like he wasn't the world's best fit. Yeah, sure. Anthony Towns probably happy about that trade because he could stay outside more. But you kind of lose that threat down low because Ruby Gobert, let's be real, he's just a garbage player. Rebound, defense, block shots, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, he's not doing anything else outside of that consistently.
But offensively, if you get at least 13 points out of him each night on second chance points or whatever, or putbacks, then and if you got like 15 rebounds for you and 5 blocks, then that's a great night work for him.
If he do something like that, you might well go ahead and play your numbers at the lotto because that's very rare.
And then those 2020 nights, that's as he get older, that's kind of being few and far between for him. And it really didn't work out for Minnesota. And to build around Anthony Edwards, you kind of had to get rid of Cat because, yeah, Gobert ain't great offensively, but he helps out Anthony Edwards defensively on the backside, all that stuff, clean the boards, all that stuff. And then, you can flush out your roster better that way. You resign Nas Reed. He's a guy that can play inside out, can bang inside, and all that stuff, can shoot the outside a little bit. You're not really deep in the money with him compared to Towns. Jay McDaniels is a guy they really, 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 really love. You got him in the fold. Of course, you got, Ant. Mike Conley is still there, but, how long are you going to have him in the fold? Let me pull that Timberwolves roster up.
And the thing is, though, I like Nas Reed. Nas Reed, when he get the minutes, he could be very efficient. He makes an impact on both sides of the floor as well. So, you have that player that can come in and make that impact. If you were to build around somebody like Anthony Edwards, who clearly is going to be one of the better players in the NBA and make a bigger impact.
Still got, you signed Shake Milton this offseason. Kyle Anderson still in the fold. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Troy Brown, you signed from the Lakers. Still got Luke Garza, guy that could play, stretch it out a little bit. So if they can concentrate on that, find a younger point guard to kind of take over Conley over time, I think you can get something out of the squad. I think you still need like a head coach to put them over the top because I don't like who they got now. I forget his name at times. It's like some just generic dude there. But if they could put it all together, with them, go with the Anthony Edwards route, which I think me and you are on the same boat, that this dude got some dog in him. This dude's got some personality. Yeah. This dude got some takeover. But seemingly they still kind of waiting for Cat to be that guy, but you already got that guy in Edwards.
He's going to change the energy around the team. He's going to change the expectation. Uh, and he's doing it at such a young age as well. So I think, like I said, if you do take that chance to build around somebody like him, you might put yourself in a very good situation, moving forward. It's just they have to be able to do that and be committed to it.
So, and the age thing, yeah, that's the thing too. It's like do it in this kid's prime years. If you do it, start being around in his prime years, like we talked about the West before. You know, the Lakers, they're kind of LeBron, AD in their 30s. The Warriors, the main core, 30s. Phoenix, KD, he's around our age. So it's Bradley Beal, 30s. So down the line, if you can put this together, you're kind of looking at down the line, you're competing with OKC, Sacramento, Memphis. If when Banya puts it together early, the Spurs. You still got Luka in Dallas, depending on how that situation goes. Booker in Phoenix. The Clippers. I think that's kind of like a ticket time bomb with the injuries with Kawhi and Paul George. I think that's a ship that's kind of slow leaking out in the river and the Chattahoochee River somewhere. Also, Zion can stay out of trouble and stay in shape, then that no one's gonna be a problem. But if you can get this early going with Ant and get rid of Cat and get those assets and build around this dude, I think the sky's the limit. And head coach will change too, but the sky's the limit. And if Alex Rodriguez and company can figure that out and see that, hey, more power to them. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, like I said, if I like that, it just you have to be committed to building around Anthony Edwards. And not only you build around him, you're going to get those players that are going to make a huge impact moving forward. I mean, you get somebody. You're looking at how teams are winning these championships now. You're looking at having a Jokic, with a Jamal Murray, and then a bunch of guys around them that's going to help play a huge part. Look at the Lakers with AD and LeBron and their pieces. You look at Milwaukee with Giannis, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton. If you can kind of put something like that together, I think that you are gonna go a long way. And the biggest thing is you build around somebody like Anthony Edwards. He's gonna change the energy and the mentality that they need in Minnesota. Clearly, we've seen what they have with Karl Anthony Towns. We've heard Jimmy Butler talk about it. So now you see this, and then you bring in somebody else. This is probably your best chance to start over and build with somebody that's going to make a big difference.
So yeah, I think Town. I mean, Edwards is ready for the next step. I think Towns. I think he is who he is now. So if Minnesota want to kind of shake off their past and stop being that team that is middle of the road and be that perennial contender, I think you got to make the switch to make that Anthony Edwards the star player for your team, the main focus for your team, I should say. Before we get here, D-Lock, go through some WNBA scores real quick. Like Terry Rodriguez alluded to, the Sparks, they won big today over the Las Vegas Aces. I got that final score up right here. They went big over them yesterday, 78 to 72 over the Aces on the road. Sparks are 13-18 in the season. Las Vegas only falls down to 28-4. Calderon for the Sparks. Laisha Calderon, 22 points to lead away for the Sparks. Agumike, 19-11 for her. 20 points for Canada. For the Aces side of things, Asia Wilson, 25 points, 9 rebounds. Kelsey Plum, 12 points for them, for her. 32 for 3-point land for the Sparks. I mean, not Sparks, Aces. And then 6 for 12, 50% for the Sparks. So, damn, that's a lot of 3-pointers by the damn Aces. But still, to lose by 6, I mean, ain't the worst thing in the world, but you kind of want to minimize that a little bit. But shout out to the Sparks on that victory. Going by Sunday scores, the Wings beat the Mystics 97-84. The Connect Sun beat the Sky 79-73. Fever beating the Mercury 83-73. The Mercury are like damn free fall almost. And the Storm beat the Lynx 88-74. To look at the standings real quick, D-Lock. Phoenix still atop. New York still atop. Connecticut right behind them. You got Dallas at number 4, Atlanta at number 5. Like once you get past like Las Vegas, New York, Connecticut, everybody else is kind of like middle of the road. The Sparks, they kind of got 1.5 lead over Chicago for the 8th spot. But, LA seems like they play well one game, then, lose two, 3, and then, they win again. Like, y'all ain't consistent enough. How do we fast forward to WNBA finals between the Aces and Liberty? Because that's how I see this going, unless Connecticut upsets New York in the playoffs. But how do we fast forward at Las Vegas Aces and New York Liberty
Yeah,
WNBA finals?
I think I'm with you there. I mean, the way the season is going, both of these teams are looking very good right now. Um, and now it's just about that consistency. The thing about WNBA, it goes by so fast, and it's not as many teams as the NBA. So when you do see a few teams that are somewhat head and shoulders above others, they're more likely a lot more, probably a better chance to advance. So, like I said, I'm definitely with you on that part. I just think that at this point, it's very exciting to see because once we start seeing a team kind of getting rolling, we start to see that surge of consistent wins, and the Aces are one of the teams that's doing that.
I think, one of the surprises of me for this season, I don't want to say surprise, but just like the way it has gone, the Phoenix Mercury. You figure, the Brittany Griner situation, all that stuff that in Russia, I think maybe she would come in and play with some redemption, but as we've seen, she has taken some time away from the team and all that stuff, and I think it was a smart move for her because let's be real, we kind of know like how Russia operates. It's a different world over there. How they go about their things and stuff like that, and foreigners and detainees and all that stuff, all that good jazz. Hell, if y'all watch Stranger Things season 4, think like when Hopper's at in that prison out there, shit like that kind of goes on. So I think it's kind of wise for her kind of just step back. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs, but just kind of step back and just kind of reevaluate life. Basketball's gonna be there. Just kind of get your mind right, because like I tell you, you're in prison for a good while. And another country had that too. So for her to step back, kind of, reevaluate things, that's a smart move for her. Diane Taurasi, is this her last song with the Mercury? She only played like 16 minutes. This past game against the Fever. She kind of going out like some of these other veterans that we see in the NBA, like Dirk, Kobe. Not of the world's best situations. And then also you got Skylar Diggins Smith, the issues she's having with the team. She can't show up to the facility because she's pregnant and all that stuff, all that jazz. Like all that going on. They're on the court. Sophie Cunningham. She's like maybe a dirty player. And all that good jazz as well. So it just seemed like one thing out of another with the Mercury, and now they sit at 9-23 as one of the bottom teams in the league. Now Alicia Smith.
Definitely a lot of stuff going on.
Now Alicia Smith 25-11, against the Mercury today. Kelsey Mitchell, 28 for her. I mean, great job by them. But the Mercury kind of been like that standard bearer, for the league for a good while with Taurasi, with Griner. And I think it seems like they ended up coming to a close with this chapter of this squad. So I think they're one of more surprises for us this season. I mean, you kind of knew coming to the season like Indiana and Chicago will take probably steps back with new young players. But I thought Phoenix at least will be in contention for a playoff spot, but they just kind of fell on the wayside. And I knew Seattle would probably go down too because, Breonna Taylor went to the Liberty. But, you figure Phoenix would be at least in contention for a playoff spot. But it kind of looked that way unless Griner shows up and falls out. So that's that for the WNBA scores. Do you like you got anything to add before we head out?
I mean, like I said, I think the fact that we're in that part of the year, like I said, you have a lot of different things going on. The WNBA is definitely doing this, having a hell of a season, but with the Mercury having different issues or different things, and then you got James Harden situation like the NBA or the sport of basketball is not going anywhere, and it's actually starting to pick up now. So again, like I said, this is an exciting time of the year. It seems like I always say that because it actually is always like now at some point we're gonna do our previews for the next season. September is just right around the corner, so I'm definitely excited for that. And like I said, hopefully, we will see. We'll find out who this WNBA champion will be, and then we'll get ready for the NBA season to see where Dame and James Harden land.
Yeah. No other news has been really coming out. Nothing else been happening. Besides Team USA, playing well before the World Cup elimination process happens. I saw some of the top young high school prospects uh, played up in New York, I believe, and like kid Cooper Flag seems really, really, really legit. And there's like a photo of him like dunking from the free throw line. Hosted by Slam Magazine. So there's that. Uh, so you got that going on. It's great to see the Rucker, nice and full with these young prospects, playing out and possibly the future in the NBA. Guys, we probably talking about down the road here. So great stuff over the weekend. We saw. Do follow us on Twitter at FastBreakIESR. That's FastBreakIESR. D-Lock, how can the people find you on social media?
You guys can find me at BlackDash813. Like I said, a lot of different stuff going on. I know, like I said, NFL season is just about here. 2K has been talked about, so NBA season is here as well. Let them know they can find you in the show's page, man.
Like that, Fast Break at IESR on X/Twitter. We get the latest show news and feed. Also, do follow IESportsRadio.com. IESportsRadio on all your social media feeds: X/Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Do follow us on there. Do follow the website IESportsRadio.com for all your latest shows, news, and feeds. Like I said, we got the new show in Houston, Spaced Out Sports with J-Man. Terry Rodriguez got an interview tomorrow. Got a new show, a new Seattle show. I think the guy's name is Brandon, I believe. His show will be debuting pretty soon here. I think sometime this week. So, a lot of new shows coming to the network. Do tune in. Do check out IESportsRadio.com for all your latest news and feeds. Plus, get the other shows on the network. Dallas with our brother Drewski. SoCal with Terry Rodriguez. 3-and-out series with football season kicking back up. DC sports. Ohio back in the fold. Detroit. Chicago. Miami. South Florida. Georgia. Carolina. New Orleans back in the fold. We're getting there. Phoenix. We're getting there. Las Vegas. We're getting there. So do tune into iSportsRadio.com. I do know a show aside called The Crooks Process. Do follow that on Instagram and Facebook, The Crooks Process. You see the CP logo in the profile pic. Do follow me on Twitter at Spawn4288. Do follow me on TikTok at Spawn4288 as well. I posted a video on there last night. But do tune in with us. We may be on here next week, maybe not. We depend on the news week go. Well, we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.